Hello Nidorinas and Nidorinos, I'm KingNido and today it is the Cinnabar Blazes going up against the Kitakami Rogues, and as they have a look at their opening hands for this best of 3 series, let's have a look at this tale of the tape as the Blazes are sitting in a top 5 spot as they look to make their second appearance in Victory Road in Season A2 of the PokeType League TCG, whereas the Rogues, they are 1 spot away from that wooden crown position and they want to make their debut in the postseason. So with that said, let us know in the comments below who you think is going to win this matchup. Will it be the fire decks? Will it be the darkness decks? Let's go!
3, 2, 1, go!
And going first with their Krogunk, it is the Galactic Admin deck for the Rogues. They put that Skorupi on the bench. It's the Vulpix from the Fire Spit Island deck of the Cinnabar Blazes. But as we said, this best of 3 series, this is game 1 as the second Drapion is pulled for the Kitakami Rogues. And they've got that Team Galactic Grunt that they play immediately to get the Stunky out of their deck. There is a second one in there as well as a second Krogunk and a second Skorupi, but they do send it over to the Cinnabar Blazes, who pull their second Vulpix, and already we have said second one too many times in this match, as they do play their Pokemon Communication. We can see the Magmortar in hand there as well, but they are going to put that Vulpix back into the deck. They're going to get a different Pokemon card out, and it is the Magma, sorry, not the second Magmortar, that with that Stoke that they are going to put onto the bench. They put their first energy for the Tail Whip onto the Vulpix. If they flip a heads, it won't take any damage from the Krogunk in the coming turn. And they are successful. They do get the heads on that flip, so that Krogunk can't attack. If they were to retreat it though, the new Pokemon in the active spot would be able to, as the Drapion from the Rogues is put online. And we can see that Rocky Helmet that was just pulled for the Rogues, who play the Team Rocket Grunt now. They want to get that energy off of the Vulpix, and they do flip a head, so they are able to get it off. They get 3 heads, in fact, stopping them once it hits the tails, but they only needed to get at least 1. They put the Rocky Helmet onto the Krogunk as well, that can return 20 damage to any Pokemon that does damage to the Krogunk, as now the Blazers pull that Vulpix once again that was shuffled back into the deck, and there is an energy going back onto the active Vulpix. Another Tail Whip as they want to avoid damage from the Krogunk. They need another heads, and they get it as well. That consistency in these flips as the Rogues are going to pull their second Stunky that they can put on the bench. They still have 1 spot remaining. Instead, they get a first energy onto that Drapion, where that Cross Poison does require 3 energy. The Blazers pull the Heatran though. We can see this Pokemon Center Lady and the Giant Cape in hand for the Blazers as well. And the Blazers opting to go with the first energy onto the Magma here, and they continue with these Tail Whips from the Vulpix. They're continuing to get heads. They want a 3rd in a row, and they get the 3rd heads for that coin flip. So once again, Krogunk cannot go on the offensive, but they've pulled the Toxicroak with that group beatdown too, so it does damage for every Pokemon on the side of the Rogues. But they've just put an energy onto the Drapion instead. They do put the Stunky on the bench. I'm not sure they realized what they just did, but it seems with how quickly they acted on that, they're not focused on taking down the Vulpix just yet. As a second energy onto the Magma, another Tail Whip. This could be costly for the Rogues, as there's another coin flip, but finally the Blazers have flipped a Tails. The Rogues need to keep aware of what they're doing as they've pulled the Professor's Research. They can get 2 cards out of their deck. They get the second Toxicroak. They get a Skuntank as well. They immediately evolve one of their 2 Stunkies, and here they can go for the group beatdown. For every heads, this will do 40 damage. They only need 2 heads. They get 1. They get a Tails, they get 2 Tails, they get a second heads though. They are going to take the first point with this group beatdown, 80 damage onto the Vulpix, taking it off the board, and this is the start that the Rogues need. As we said, they're in 9th place. They need to start getting these wins to move up the leaderboard. The Blazers putting the Heatran into the active spot, and the Blazers also finally pulled the Ninetales, but it is the Magmortar that is online. It has that burning Inferno that does 100 damage as well. They get a 3rd of 4 energy required onto it. They get the Ninetales online, who does require 2 energy for that 90 damage Flamethrower. And the Rogues pull their Pokeballs so they can get another basic Pokemon out of their deck. They get the second Skorupi. There is still a Krogunk somewhere in that deck. They get a first energy onto the Skuntank as well, but they're going for another group beatdown. This time they will need 3, and they get 4 to wipe this Heatran off the board with maximum damage from that group beatdown in an absolute team effort, and already the Rogues have taken their second point here in game 1, but it is the Mag Mortar for the Cinnabar Blazes. It does 100 damage with that Burning Inferno. The second Heat Ray is online. They put the Giant Cape onto the Mag Mortar as well. This will take its health up to 150, and it will also leave the opposing Pokemon with the burn, so it does easily wipe off the Toxicroak off the board, but no Pokemon on the bench of the Kitakami Rogues is safe from the Mag Mortar right now. They are looking to turn this game 1 around, as the Rogues need to think about how they want to approach this. They do have the Drapion with that Cross Poison. It only needs 1 more energy. They have just pulled the Team Galactic Grunt that they are going to play immediately here, and they do get that last Croagunk out of their deck. And similar to Toxicroak, Drapion will be able to flip 4 coins, 40 damage for every heads, but if 2 of them are heads, it will poison the Mag Mortar. They get a tails, they get 1 heads, they're able to get 2 heads, so they will get the 80 damage, but they also get that poisoning onto Mag Mortar. That could be crucial here. It leaves it with 50 health remaining. There's the 10 damage from the poisoning taking place. The second Mag Mortar has been pulled, but there is that Pokemon Center Lady in hand for the Cinnabar Blazes as they get a first energy onto the Ninetales, who also requires another energy onto it. That poisoning, has been healed from the Mag Mortar. The Bursting Inferno, I think I've been calling that wrong the whole time, is able to take Drapion off the board because they've left it with the burn. There is the coin flip for the Rogues to try and heal it, but it doesn't matter because it's been wiped off the board. The Blazers have just leveled the playing field. And now the Rogues need to think about how they want to approach this. They move the Skuntank into the active spot. It does do 50 damage. Mag Mortar has 70 health remaining. They have just pulled the Giant Cape. The Rogues may be limited on what they can do here. The Blazers may turn this around completely in this game 1. They put the Giant Cape onto the Skuntank. That will keep it able of surviving the Bursting Inferno, but again, that burn will come into play. They go for the Poison Gas. This is going to do 50 damage to the Mag Mortar, plus that 10 from the poisoning. It leaves it with 10 health remaining. Now the Blazers can go for the Bursting Inferno, but they're probably not too sure of what the poisoning will do. I'm not even sure of what the poisoning will do. They can go for the win here, but it could actually turn out to be a draw. And they are hesitating with what they want to do. They could actually be in a similar mindset. They hover over the Ninetales and they do get that second energy onto it here. They are going to retreat the Mag Mortar to cure it of the burn, and the Flamethrower will do 90 damage to the Skuntank here, leaving it with 30 health remaining as the second Skuntank has been pulled for the Rogues. This could actually buy them a bit of time. They don't have anyone who can do a great deal of damage at the moment, but that Toxicroak can badly poison the opposing Ninetales. And this could have bought the Rogues a little bit of time to think about how they want to approach this. Looking at that second Drapion in hand, they're unsure here. They may not see a win condition ahead of them. This is great for the Blazers though. They are taking their time here. They don't want to lose game 1. They want to try and have the advantage. Instead, they're willing to give up game 1. They go with the Poison Gas. It does do that 50 damage plus the poisoning. Ninetales is free to take Skuntank off the board. They pull the Cyrus, but that is irrelevant. They are going straight for the win with this Flamethrower, 90 damage, and the Blazers turn around game 1 to take down the Rogues. After being able to set up that Mag Mortar as well, we are going to have a table reset as we go into our game 2, and regardless of the outcome of this one, we will still have a game 3 because it always counts toward the leaderboard. Having flipped heads, going first, it is the Galactic Boss deck now of the Rogues, and they've got the Zubat and the Poochyena in hand, but they've also got the Golbat and Crobat already alongside the Cyrus. The Houndour from the Flamethon deck goes in the active spot for the Blazers with that Paldean Tauros, the Blaze Breed, on the bench, and they've got that Pokeball, Potion, and Giant Cape, but the Rogues on their first turn pull the Rocky Helmet that they can put onto that Zubat, which they do immediately. So if Houndour goes on the offensive, it will take that recall damage, and the Poochyena going on the bench for the Rogues. They send it over to the Blazers, who pull their Pokemon Center Lady once again, and they play the Pokeball, so they're going to get another basic Pokemon. This time it's the Ponyta from that Genetic Apex set in Season A1. They didn't have enough Pokemon for their deck list here in Season A2, so the Blazers were able to go back to previous set lists, moving that Ponyta onto the bench and the Giant Cape onto the Houndour, getting the first energy here. And they are going on the offensive. They go with the flare onto the Zubat, does 20 damage, but again, it will get that 20 recoil damage. They are well aware though, they've got the potion and the Pokemon Center Lady in hand. The Mightyena has been pulled for the Rogues as they can start generating energies. A first one onto the Zubat, who is now a Golbat, who also only requires 1 energy. And the Mightyena is online as well, but the 30 damage onto the Houndour, bring it down to 30 health. Golbat can take it out in the next turn as the Blazers pull their second Ponyta, and they are going to play that Pokemon Center Lady to restore the health of Houndour back up to 60. They've still got the potion in hand that they can use as well, but they get a first energy. 3 required onto that Tauros. It has 1 now, but at first they are going to play the potion before they go on the offensive. This will get Houndour back to full strength, which actually keeps it out of elimination range from the Crobat. 20 damage onto the Golbat, and again that Rocky Helmet coming into play, leaving Houndour with 60 health. And the Rogues do pull their second Mightyena. Again, this Crobat that's now online, it doesn't require a second energy, so it can go straight on the offensive with this Darkness Fang, doing 50 damage to the Houndour, leaving it with only 10 health remaining. So if Houndour goes on the offensive, it will take itself out, but that Houndour is now going to become a Houndoom that was just pulled. That corner does 60 damage. It can outlast a hit from the Rocky Helmet, but if that Crobat can return that Darkness Fang, it'll take it out. However, it cannot retreat thanks to the corner, preventing that retreat from Crobat here. And the Rogues do pull their second Crobat as Houndoom only has 30 health remaining. Mightyena gets its second required energy, and the Darkness Fang is going to take Houndoom off the board, but this leaves Crobat as an easy target for whoever comes in next, which you have to think will actually be the Ponyta. But the Blazers need to decide, and that is exactly what they're going for. Ponyta with that flare only requires 1 energy. The Professor's Research being pulled for the Blazers here as well. And they do get the Rocky Helmet and the X Speed, and they immediately move the Rocky Helmet onto the Ponyta. They are going to put that second Ponyta on the bench. They get the 1 required energy for that flare onto the Crobat that will take it out. So the Blazers do get their first point of this second game. But the Mightyena, the only bench Pokemon for the Rogues, will be easy to come in and take this Ponyta off the board, but it will get that 20 recoil damage from the Rocky Helmet that now the Ponyta is wearing, as they've just pulled a Murkrow. No Honchkrow in hand yet for the Rogues. But this Darkness Fang that Mightyena does, similar to Crobat, does an additional 10 damage, so it's an easy elimination of Ponyta, getting the second point for the Rogues as they're looking to take down this top 5 side in Game 2. They want to take it to a Game 3. They don't want the Blazers to win this series just yet as they move that Tauros into the active spot. It still requires 2 more energy to get online as the Iono has been pulled for the Blazers. And they do think of playing the Iono, but they would only get 1 random card from their deck back after shuffling in that X Speed, so they do decide against it as the Rogues get their own Professor's Research. This will allow them to get 2 more cards. Once again, thinning that deck, they get the second Professor's Research. They get the Giant Cape that they can put on the Mightyena if they want. Honchkrow gets its second, Murkrow, they're still trying to get a Honchkrow. Gets its second energy though. The Giant Cape onto Mightyena, taking its health up to 90. And that Tauros only does 80 damage. This Darkness Fang is going to do more than half of Taurus's health taken from it, leaving it with only 50 remaining as it comes back over to the Blazers. And the Blazers are able to play their own second Professor's Research as they get the Rapidash. They get the Houndoom, but there is this Rapidash that is more crucial. They can use an X-Speed and get this Tauros back on the bench and use the Rapidash, who only requires 1 energy, and they are thinking of doing that. But they're very uncertain at the moment. Do they just want to take it to a Game 3 and give the victory to the Kitakami Rogues here? They're taking their time with this decision. They don't want to rush it. They are going to get the third energy onto the Tauros. They're going for the Blaze Tackle. They're willing to take this to a Game 3. Mightyena will be able to take Tauros off the board. They pull the Murkrow. I do not think they're concerned with that. They may be concerned with seeing if they can maximize their damage, but no, they're just going for the Darkness Fang, and we are taking this to a Game 3. They take down the Tauros. Both these sides having to make this hard decisions to determine whether or not they would lose matchups, and that they have been willing to do, but now they cannot afford to lose this third one here, as it is now going to be the Blazes going first with their Flint Lockwood deck up against the endless nightmare of the Kitakami Rogues. And it is the Slugma for the Blazers going in the active spot. The Rogues have quite a choice here. They've got the Spiritomb, the Shroodle, and the Darkrai in hand. They've also got the Grafaiai, so they are going to put the Shroodle on the bench with the Spiritomb in the active spot. But as we said, it is the Blazers this time going first. But this will allow the Rogues to generate an energy first, but the Blazers are going to pull the Sizzlipede, and they do have that Center Scorch already in hand, who is capable of doing 130 damage. They get the Rocky Helmet onto the Slugma here as well, hoping to prevent the Rogues from going on the offensive with this Confused Ray Spiritomb. The Rogues pulling their Pokeball as well. They do play that immediately to get the second Darkrai in hand, and it can do that Dark Void 60 damage that does put the opposing Pokemon to sleep. Get the Confused Ray from Spiritomb, 20 damage onto the Slugma. It will get the recoil damage, but first, to see if it can confuse the Slugma, they do flip their heads, so Slugma has to contend with this status condition, but it does get that 20 recoil damage onto Spiritomb thanks to the Rocky Helmet. And they could get that confusion off of Slugma by evolving it here. That is exactly what they do. But they may have gone a turn too early because Makago does require 2 energy, but they still have the Pokemon Center Lady in hand, and they might be keeping that in mind. They've got the Team Rocket Grunt if they want to attempt to get the energy off of the Spiritomb. And that is exactly what they're going to do. They thought of sending it back over to the Rogues, but decided against it, and they get their heads. This will limit the Rogues' decision making here if they want to start setting up the Shroodle, or if they want to go on the offensive again with the Spiritomb, as the second Grafaiai has been pulled. And Grafaiai with that poison coating, this is a coin flip. If they flip heads, this will leave Slugma with that poison status condition, and they get the heads here as well. They can leave it poisoned and confused, as the Rogues are going to go with their own Team Rocket Grunt. They want to get the energy off the Makago. Unfortunately for them, they get the tails, so this will free up Makago to go on the offensive on the next turn. The Rogues are unaware of the Pokemon Center Lady in hand for the Blazers, as the Darkrai now on the bench for the Rogues. The Confuse Ray, 20 more damage onto the Makago. And they do get the tails, but realistically that is irrelevant, as the Rocky Helmet does do another 20 damage to the Spiritomb, that poison doing damage to the Makago, but the Blazers can get a second energy onto the Makago, but not before they play that Pokemon Center Lady. 30 health restored, cures the poisoning, and a second energy for that Searing Flame. And it does do 30 damage, but it's that crucial burn that will do the additional 20 damage that takes Spiritomb off the board. There is a coin flip, it is irrelevant even though they flip their heads. That won't save Spiritomb here, and it will give the Blazers the first point in Game 3. And the Rogues do opt to go with the Grafaiai in the active spot, as they do pull their Ekans. They get a first energy onto the Grafaiai, who can go for this poison coating regardless of if it's in the active spot or on the bench. Just needs to flip their heads. And they get it once again, and there is no Pokemon Center Lady this time to save the Makago. It will be stuck with the poisoning unless they choose to retreat it, but it is a 3 energy retreat cost. Now Blazers pulling another Pokeball, looking for another basic Pokemon out of this deck to join Sizzlipede on the bench, and they get the second Slugma as they get a first energy onto the Sizzlipede as well. They are going to evolve it here into the Center Scorch. They need another 3 energy on it though. And that Searing Flame with the 30 damage onto the Grafaiai. And there's the poisoning affecting Makago, the burn affecting Grafaiai, but the Rogues flip their heads, so Grafaiai has been healed from the burn, but it will not outlast another turn. And the Rogues are going to get a second energy onto the Grafaiai. They're willing to give up the Grafaiai here instead of retreating it. So they're not as concerned with the poison coating. Instead, they just get that 40 damage onto the Makago. And there's that 20 recoil damage, the poisoning onto Makago. And it's back and forth between these two at the moment. At one point only having been taken in game 3. Second energy onto the center scorch. The Searing Flame is going to wipe the Graphite off the board regardless of this burn. And the Rogues have not taken a single point here in game 3. The Blazes have 2 points. They just need one more to win this series over the Darkness decks. And the Rogues are running out of time to decide who they want to move into the active spot. They end up going with the Darkrai here. So Darkrai will not evolve, obviously, as there are the R-Box in hand for the Rogues. That could have saved the Ekans if it was to receive that poisoning. But there is a first energy onto the Darkrai. And the Blazers only have one turn left for Makago here before it will be taken out from that poisoning. They move the Giant Cape onto the center scorch, and they've got the Dawn in hand that allows them to move an energy from the benched Pokemon. And here's that Searing Flame, 30 damage onto the Darkrai with the additional 20 from the burn. And the Rogues trying to cure Darkrai of the burn. They do flip the head, so they are successful. Makago has finally been taken down by that poisoning. The Rogues getting their first point. The Blazers capable of moving the center scorch into the active spot. Cyrus has been pulled for the Rogues. There's no bench for the Blazers though. And this is looking great for the Blazers right now. There is not much that the Rogues can do. They get a second energy onto the Darkrai. They can retreat it, but neither of them can outlast their hit from the Blazers. The Blazers just need one more energy. They pull a Sizzlipede, but it is just the energy onto the center scorch. This Fire Blast, 130 damage, wiping Darkrai off the board, and the Blazers hang on to take game 3 in this contest, back and forth between these two. And in doing so, this does move the Blazers up to 3rd place, as next round they're going up against the Holland Allies, whereas for the Rogues, they stay in 9th and they're going up against the Levincia Wonders next round. But until then, Nidorinos, thank you so much for watching. Let us know in the comments below what you thought the best card was. And if you enjoyed what you saw, please leave a like, share, subscribe, but more importantly, always remember, send thanks, and I'll see you when you see me.